Hey, what's up, guys? It is Metagames GX here, and we are going to be taking an in-depth look at this new branded structure deck. It's called the Chronicles, the Fallen, and the Virtuous, and this is going to be the new branded structure deck that has been hyped up so much. It has 2 new cards for branded, 4 new alt arts, including Thrust and Fusion Deployment, Thrust being a very highly sought after reprint. And today we're going to answer the question, is this structure deck something you should buy? And also, can you take it out of the box and make a tournament ready branded deck, or are there going to be some things that you need to make to change it? Well, we're going to go into my post structure deck list, but also I just wanted to talk about the structure deck in general, just touch on the new support again, and then just talk about how good of a product this is on top of things like that. So if you guys want to see more content like this, leave a like down below, comment what you thought of the video once this video is over, and also make sure to subscribe and join the channel membership program if you want to get a bunch of other bonuses for the channel. Now, let's get right into it. So this is a 40 card deck, and it's going to be $15. So you might be like, oh, that's a little bit more expensive than your average structure deck. And I think this is because it's all foil, essentially. Like, every single card in the structure deck is foil, which is not something normally that happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck. So that's something already cool. Plus the alt arts, like I said, there's going to be an alt art of Ecclesia, or the Dogmatica Ecclesia right here. And then also we are going to have the alt arts once again for the Thrust and then the Fusion Deployment. Now, with one structure deck, you'll never be able to play the game, but I think with how the ratios work out, you can actually construct a pretty decent branded deck with just 3 of these structure decks. But they ended up including all of the really mainstays for branded over the last few years, competitively speaking, in most of people's lists, guys. You even see the Triple Tactics Thrust, like I mentioned. You see Fusion Duplication, which isn't even a branded card, nor a branded lore card, but Konami knows this has been a mainstay since it came out. They basically, I bet, printed this card for branded, essentially as a legacy support. And so that's very cool to see even non-branded cards in here, because it makes the decks more viable, and also it preserves the history of branded, since everyone was running Gold Sark, everyone was running Fusion Deployment in their branded decks when they were topping with them, or if they have ever topped with them. There are some other more odd choices, like the Black Goat Laughs. This is much more of a lore pick, because not many branded decks have really topped with Black Goat Laughs in the past. I mean, it is an option to discard off of, like, let's just say Albaz, so that you can also get some more board breaking out of this. So it's not even bad from that standpoint, and it is a decent reprint. But I think the biggest reprints too are the Bestials. We have Bestial Druisaur, Magnamut, Saronir, plus the Lubellion. These are going... Lubellion was already a $15-$20 card, and it is core to the branded strategy. In Genesis format, we can't even run this card, which makes branded a lot worse in the Genesis format, because this card is so integral to what you do in Branded Despia. And once again, we have 2 new cards in the structure deck. I mean, you have the staples between Albion the Shrouded Dragon, Aluber, Blazing Cartesia, obviously the Albaz, the Quem, the Ecclesia. You even have Keeper of Dragon Magic, which can actually search out your branded fusion, which is pretty cool. So I do like that, on top of just having Nibiru for more hand traps. This was a card originally ran in a lot of earlier branded lists, like before like Cartesia and Quem even came out, but nowadays we really don't run this. Sometimes you'll find some branded players running this, but nowadays Nibiru is kind of power crept in the sense that you need another hand trap to pair with Nibiru to really do anything. So Branded Bond is another one of those weird choices, because no branded deck really runs this, so even in your constructed version, I wouldn't run this. Nadir is nice, because it does get better with the new Stigmata, and you can search out the other Dogmaticas in this deck, like Maximus, which pairs really nicely, so you can send 2 of your monsters from the extra deck to the graveyard, which is really powerful, since you get a lot of your power in branded from sending monsters to the graveyard from your extra deck. So the new card, the Fallen The Virtuous, is absolutely broken as well. This card, is a quick play pop, basically, no matter what, so you can pop your own monster to dodge something like an Imperm, which is really cool. But also you get to send 1 monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz from your extra deck to the graveyard for cost. and then you target and destroy one card. And you can also, if you have an Ecclesia monster on field or graveyard, you can basically monster reborn from graveyard or field, which is definitely a very powerful effect, right? Like free monster reborn as a quick play in Engine's very strong. But also, you need to have the Ecclesia, so I definitely would run the Ecclesia in the future, in the final build. But this card just being one of your best board breakers is why we are going to lean on this card in the final build for the post-structure deck build. We also do have a bunch of cards like Banishment, Beast, Retribution, Branded White, Branded Red, Branded Regain, Branded Sword. For the one-ofs, I think all of these have been used and branded across time. Branded Regain and Branded Beast being much more in the Bestial ilk, and I think Branded Regain was really only recently used because of Malice, and Malice has kind of fallen off a little bit, so I do think that these cards are very optional in your branded deck, but things like Kit, Mercurier, Tragedy, you should be running these cards. They make your branded deck even more strong, and, I think there's actually a fair amount of pretty decent reprints with the Bestials and then the Thrust that makes it pretty desirable for even non-branded players and maybe even as a collection piece, because these are going to be, all foil. It's a very unique kind of structure deck. And also we have the extra deck. We get 10 fusion monsters that are pretty solid. They are missing some, which is a little disappointing. I think things like Despia and Quertus should be in here. But we do have the Albion, we have the Mirror Jade, we have the Brigand, we have the Lubellion, the Rinbrum, and the new Stigmata, which shuffles back 2 monsters from either graveyard or banishment, which is insane, honestly. You get to like even spin back face down banish monsters, which is really cool with this card. It's infinite grind game and also becomes a towers at 3,500 if you have Ecclesia in rotation. So definitely very solid and going to be ran in branded builds going forward. And then we have Grand Guignol, Sprined, Titanclad, and Albalinatus. Albalinatus being a great way to spin back all your dragons in your graveyard or banishment to make Lubellion to have infinite grind game. But it's also a great board breaker into decks like Blue Eyes because you can contact fuse off your Albaz and your opponent's board of dragons. So yeah, this is a very good structure deck. I would recommend getting at least one of them, and if you really like branded and want to play branded, you could get 3 of them and just be fine. Now I'm gonna make some suggestions though, because you can just take your 3 structure decks and shove them in, but you're gonna be missing a couple key cards. You're gonna be missing 7 key cards that I think I'm gonna show you guys right now with this updated build. Once you get your 3 structure decks, just make these additions for about $15 and your deck will be insane and ready for tournaments to win in top even. So this is the final deck, guys. This is 3 structure decks plus a few cards that I threw in. We are going to be running 3 Shrouded Dragon, 3 Aluber, 2 Cartesia, 3 Saronir, plus the Lubellion. We took out the Magma and the rest of the Bestials because these are the most important ones for branded, since Saronir connects you to branded spells or trap cards. And then we have the Tragedy, 3 Albaz for the grind game, and then 2 Quem, and then 1 Ecclesia to go along with our Stigmata package. And then also we have the 3 Fuelos. This is something that could be really anything from Droll and Lockbird to maybe even like a Dark Ruler No More, Forbidden Droplets. So I would just take a really good piece of non-engine and put this in the slot. What I highly recommend is Fuelos because it is also a branded and high spirits bridge. So you can also always discard it going first. It's never really a bad card going first. It just, sucks to brick on it sometimes. But I think this card is so insane against things like Dracotal, even like Mitsurugi Yummy and stuff like that, just to give yourself a chance into those end boards and make them like end on a half board. I do think this card is very worth it for that reason. And then we have 1 Kit, 1 Mercurier. Then we have 2 Branded Fusion as well. 2 Branded Fusion, obviously we just got back in with the ban list at 2. Hopefully it comes back to 3, but this card's insane to open. Like, layer your end boards where you're going last card Branded Fusion to break boards infinitely. And then we have 3 High Spirits, 1 Branded Run, 1 Branded White, 1 Branded Lost, 1 Opening, Burial, 3 Deployment, 1 Sark, and then 3 Super Polys. So yes, you could also look for super poly targets like Garura or Mud Dragon, but now with Stigmata is one of your best super poly targets now, because you can fuse off any effect monster with super poly with it, as long as you have Albaz plus another light or dark monster. So you could fuse off potentially 2 of your opponent's monsters with Stigmata with super poly. So you don't necessarily need the Garura or Mud Dragon, but I am siding them just in case. Now, we do have the 3 Fallen the Virtuous. I choose to run 3 because this is a board breaker plus a starter plus a way to dodge Imperm or Veiler. I think this card is insane. It's an engine board breaker that can also revive cards. I think it's an obvious 3 of in any 50 plus card build, and we are in 51, so I do think I am running this at 3. I mean, if we do test hands, any hand with Fallen the Virtuous is just insane. It helps me board break too. It's just very good in general. Even that hand with Tragedy, I could just pop Tragedy. That's so funny. So we can get, and then we have 1 Talons, 3 Thrust, 1 Banishment, 1 Retribution, 1 Duplication. We are running the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord because we are not locking this build. I'm not going to make you guys go buy a Sanctifier and a Nido if you're just picking up the 3 structure decks. So you can use the next best option, which is Light and Darkness Dragon Lord off of the Branded Banishment, which makes your branded fusion lines very strong with just an Aluber. And then we have the Extract 2 Albion. I think it's integral for the grind game. And then we have the Lubellion. But then I also recommend running 2 Mirror Jade and Pure Branded, because this allows you to board break with Mirror Jade very easily, since you get to toss your first Mirror Jade into your opponent's end board, break it since it has an graveyard effect when it leaves the field by your opponent's card. So that means you can crash into your opponent's card, and then it will trigger because your opponent's card made it leave the field, and you can destroy all monsters on your opponent's field. And that is a non-activated effect, so it gets over a lot of towers-like effects that are unaffected by activated effects. It's very strong, and then having the second, it's very integral for like water, fire decks, just to have an option to fuse off with Albaz on your opponent's turn with the Renbrum. So I also mentioned the Stigmata, but also Renbrum is one of your best layering pieces in Branded. Newer Branded players need to always realize this is what you're sending off of Mirror Jade really on your opponent's turn to connect, and that's why it's really important to have an Albaz in graveyard, because you have things like Branded in red and Renbrum that can really just keep looping that same Albaz in your graveyard and effectively make like 5 to 6 to 7 interruptions just out of those 2 cards alone. And then we have the Borreload Furious Dragon. This is just a very generic, just good dragon card that you can make with any 2 dark dragons. It's very good to make off of like Albion or Lubellion and have another piece on top of Mirror Jade, since you can't control 2 Mirror Jades at once. In my opinion, it's very strong to have like another quick play boss monster that can put pressure on your opponent. And it's also a great way to pop back row, since we do also have the Chaos Star Source, which helps us pop back row too, and it's just a great thing to make off of Albaz. It's also a great super poly target into dragon decks. It's very good. Then we have the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. It's 3 Omni Negates, guys. It also floats. It's very solid. It's just one of our best boss monsters and one of our best options. So we have Despia and Quertus. This is something that was not in the structure deck, as well as the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, so I do recommend buying these cards. They're like probably like $1 literally, so very, very highly recommend it. Makes your deck so much better. And then Quertus is just like a great way to OTK. It's a great super poly target. That's why also if you're running 3 super poly, you need the Quertus. And then 2 Grand Guignol. I just like 2 Grand Guignol for the grind game. We aren't running the lock, so you can choose to not running the second Grand Guignol and choose to maybe main deck one of these super poly targets or another fusion, kind of, or like a Guardian Chimera, but that is what it is, and we're going to choose to run the 2 Guignol just to make it so our Quem and Cartesia always have something to do, and we can tutor something out like my second Quem or my Despia and Quertus off the Grand Guignol. And then we have 1 Stapelia and 1 Titanclad, guys. So what did you think of my post-structure deck Branded Despia list? This is going to be more of a budget-friendly one. Once again, about $15 investing in the Fualoses, and then also getting Chaos Star Source, Borreload Furious, Stapelia, and the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. And, you know, in the side deck, we have Ashes. You know, the side deck is really whatever you want it to be, but this is why I would recommend. I think Ash helps you neg Fualos, and, you know, you can even tech in things like Called By, but, Called By is also kind of a brick, so I feel like Ash is pretty nice going first or going second, especially to draw off of Fualos. Then we have Nadir for going first, so we can side out our Fualoses, and you do get this in the structure deck, so Fualos always needs to be sided out going first. So having 3 sides to side out going first is always important in that kind of deck construction. With Branded and Evenly Dark Ruler are the 2 best board breaker pairs in the format right now. It just negs the whole Yomi board, and then Evenly can clean everything up. So yeah, guys, what did you think of this video? Comment down below. If you guys want to see a combo guide on this, let me know. I do have the longer just like guide on how to use these cards. It will be linked down below. If you guys want to see an extended combo guide, let me know. Comment what you thought, and then click the join button. Go to my website, metagamesgx.com, if you want to buy my branded spreadsheet, which also has 100+ branded and Draco Tile combos updated monthly. It's a great resource and great way to learn branded and Draco Tile pretty quick, so in terms of the combos. But obviously, you know, you always have to train on the deck, and Branded's a tough deck. It's not an easy deck for beginners, but I do think that if you stick with it, it will reward you, and you will find it to be one of the most rewarding decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, because it's perennially pretty good. It's always just somewhere around tier 1 to 2, basically, or, you know, worst case 3, but still pretty playable at 3. So Right now, I'd say it's about tier 1.5 with the Draco Tau cards and the new structure deck support being insane. And 2 Branded Fusion, oh yeah, for sure. So yeah. All right, guys, love you. Bye now. Stay safe. See ya.